Hello again, friends and loyal Wolfpack members. Chaos Wolf here, and welcome back to the channel. Now, today we are going to be taking a look at newsletters 123 and 124, because I kind of skipped it last week for the simple fact that the beta 2.1 1.6 had just hit. So I was extremely busy with that. Not only that, but the news in said newsletter was kind of thin on the ground again. But that's kind of to be expected, since the beta had just hit. So what we're going to be doing is lumping the two newsletters together and basically just going from there. I don't know if I'm going to do this again, but we'll go and see. It was just extremely bad timing of the newsletter when I was working to get 2 videos out a day for the beta. So let's move on. The first thing in newsletter 123 was a letter from David Braben himself. So I'm going to read this out from my phone because this is really hard for me to remember. It goes, David Braben's words: "As I write this, the beta of the engineers is about to go live. The team have done a great job pulling together so many different elements that make the game richer, deeper, better in so many ways. It is a beta, so there may be things that are broken or unbalanced, and we'd love your feedback. For this beta in particular, what will be most useful is to test the balancing of the new weapons and modules, when used in all sorts of different ways on different ships. There are so many new things beyond the roughly 500,000 unique characters that have been added, so I won't list them here. But look out for Michael Brooks's change list on the forums for more details. See you in the beta. I'm Commander Braben. I fully expect to see myself destroyed on YouTube again, but you never know. I might even have 1 or 2 of the new weapon upgrades on, on some huge beam lasers. Right on, Commanders." So yes, he's been basically talking about how we have now got the beta, so obviously, and that they want us to test this out as much as possible, which I assume is one of the reasons they went and put the upgrade to beta on the Frontier stores. So you can actually go and buy into beta for about 10 quid, around about 10 euros, a little bit more than 10 euros, I don't know. So if you do want access to the beta now, you can actually go and buy into it. So if I remember, I'll put a link in the video description. If I don't, just head over to the Frontier store and you'll see it there. Okay, the next part in the newsletter 123 was basically talking about the background simulation to the universe, or to the galaxy even. I made that mistake once again. And basically saying how it's being changed, how pretty much all of the players are affecting this galaxy and this simulation, and it's the way it's being affected is changing somewhat. It doesn't go into detail specifically about how it's going to change, but it has highlighted that minor factions are no longer going to be referred to as minor factions, because their influence on the galaxy is becoming a little bit more prominent. So they're now being referred to as merely factions. So that's kind of nice. We're not going to be known as minor factions, because that did kind of sound, in my eye, a little condescending. But yeah, so the Wolves of Jonai are now a faction rather than a minor faction. At least they will be when 2.1 hits. And what's happening is missions in stations are now going to be grouped together by faction, and your progress with your reputation with that particular faction is going to be a lot clearer and a lot easier to understand. So as soon as you go into the station, you'll have a faction contact for that specific, for each in specific power. You basically do missions for them until you rank up with that specific NPC, pretty much, or that specific contact. Then you will move on to the next one. You'll be able to see more visually and clearly about what you're going to be getting out of this, and just moving up the ranks. And I assume the further up the ranks you get, the more important the missions you get for that particular faction. So that is going to be a nice welcome change. I just wonder if it's going to be possible for Frontier to add in specific NPCs or change the contacts for specific factions, player factions specifically. I'm wondering if it is possible to name some of my moderators and some of my officers in the Wolfpack and have them pretty much just change the names of the people or the mission givers for the Wolves of Jonai. I wonder if that's going to be possible. I don't know. I don't even know. I haven't even noticed if the contacts at the stations change from system to system, because I haven't really looked into this too much. I've been too busy testing out ships, weapons, engineers, looking at bases. It's too many things to go through. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the changes of this in 2.1. When it goes live, I'm going to be looking at this a lot more thoroughly once the patch goes onto the live servers. So yeah, look out for that one. Also, if you hadn't noticed, there are some new paint jobs available in the Frontier store as well. They are the Squadron paint packs, and they're available for a number of ships, although some of them are a little bit strange for which ones they are actually available for. So yeah. Most noticeably, they're available for a Type 9. I don't understand why we need them for a Type 9, but yeah, whatever. They are available for like ships like the Anaconda, the Eagle, the Python, the Viper Mark IV. So the Viper Mark IV's finally got some decent paint schemes for it. What they do is they make the ship look a little bit older, like the paint's chipping off a little bit, and they're pretty much squadron themed, so you can actually get a bunch of people in a wing all with the same kind of paint scheme, but maybe with different colours, or maybe have your wings organise your factions into specific squadrons. You get 6 different colour schemes in there. There's like the red, yellow, blue, green, black, and there's a even black and red one, because the most ones have like a kind of a pale ivory kind of background colour, so they're kind of nice. I have picked up 2 of these. I have got them for my Python and my Anaconda, so I really do like these. Because it was pointed out that the ship skins, well, the paint pack for the Anaconda, make the Anaconda look very, very reminiscent of a Republic cruiser from the Star Wars universe. So yeah, I'm all up for that. The next thing in this particular newsletter that I found very interesting was that there was, emphasis on was, a community goal for Jack Station. The famous station actually moves from system to system. What it was saying is it's planning a rather ambitious trip all the way from the system it was in, Gliese something or other. I can't quite remember. You'll have to go check the newsletter for it. But by the time this goes out, I imagine it may have already made this trip. But it's travelling all the way to Beagle Point on the other end of the galaxy. So that is awesome. The community goal was for hydrogen fuel, pretty much, just to stock it all the way up so it can get there, just so it can make all the jumps. So the community goal apparently was a success, and it's making its jump sometime soon, sometime within the next day or so or something. I'm not quite sure from the time of recording. So by the time this goes live, it may have actually already happened. So that's going to be cool. Apparently, according to Frontier, if you go and dock with the station when it jumps, because historically speaking, if you were docked with Jack's station and it jumped, you would have actually moved with the station. Apparently, according to Frontier, this is not going to happen. I do have a ship docked there on a special account just to see if this does work. If it does, I'll let you know. If not, we'll go and see. But anyway, I did think this was really cool. So that's pretty much it for newsletter 123. Let's move on to newsletter 124. Now, let's have a look. I'm going to have to go and read this off my phone because this is pretty much some info from lead designer Sandro Samarco. It's an absolute massive amount of changes that they've gone and made thanks to player feedback on the beta. So first of all, he says there's been a lot of great feedback in the beta so far. Because of it, we've already been able to make a bunch of improvements. Diminishing returns on heat delivery weapons. Basically what they've done is they have changed the way the extra heat up worked. Because what was originally happening is ships that were targeted by these weapons were getting thousands of times hotter than what they should have been doing. So they basically added diminishing returns to this. So the hotter the ship being targeted gets, the less effective these weapons are going to be. Apparently they've added a bit of a cap as well, so it's never going to get hot enough to start taking hull damage, but it's definitely going to start cooking the internal modules. So that's awesome. It still makes it very difficult for the pilot of the targeted ship to get away, but gives him a fighting chance if he can avoid getting shot at long enough or pops some heatsink launchers. So that's nice for if you're getting targeted by these. It just makes these weapons a lot less overpowered. Also, cannons have been buffed slightly. They have had, because apparently they were looking a little bit dated in the game because of the way modules had worked, making them a lot less efficient. So the damage, I believe, has been buffed. They've also increased the speed of the projectile and stopped it having damage drop-off. So it's making them a lot better. So that's really going to be nice. So I'm curious to see what the shell velocity is going to be in comparison to what it was pre 2.1. So I'm going to have a look at that. That's going to be very interesting to have a look at. They've also softened the effect for feedback cascade shells in railguns, because originally at the beginning of the beta, what was happening is they were pretty much, if you were charging a shield cell bank, you would hit them and you would hit the ship charging the shield cell bank, and you would just pop the shields there and then. They've stopped that now. It doesn't work that way anymore. What happens now is if they are using a shield cell bank, you shoot them with this particular shell, it stops the shield cell from actually charging the shields up. The shields will stay at the level they were when you hit them, but the heat from the shield cell bank will still be applied to the ship. So it's making it, they're still a very, very strong weapon, and they're still going to have a massive impact on PvP, but they're not going to be a game changer. Well, they are going to be a game changer, but they're not going to make it impossible to use shield cell banks. So especially if you're in a smaller ship and you're doing combat that way, you will have a chance of getting away. But I suspect you're going to be able to put these kind of things on the Imperial Hammer as well, so that's going to be insane, because you're going to be still having the 3 shots, but each of these shots is still going to have the same effect. So you're going to have more of a chance of actually hitting your target. So perhaps that's going to be a good thing for PvP, I don't know. But going back to the experimental heat cascade, I think it was as well, the one where it heats the ship up. I forgot to mention that they are actually going to be buffing up the power play version of the heat beams, the ones that heats up your ship, but they're making it better, a little bit at least so, than the experimental ones that you can get from the engineers. So they're bringing it in line with what it really should be, and then theoretically you are able to get this this heat variant on top of this, making it even more insane. So that's going to be awesome. Obviously though, this is still going to be a fixed weapon, so it's really up to you whether you find it useful. I do think it's also only a small hard point, so your mileage may vary whether you find this useful or not. Next, missiles have also been improved. They have basically been tweaked a little bit. Seeker missiles are going to have, they're going to be better at tracking. They're also flying faster, they've got a bit more health, so that point defenses are going to have a little bit of a harder time shooting them down. They've also fixed a bug that was placing the hitboxes or the blast radii in the wrong area. Turrets have also been improved. They've actually had their damage per second buffed, their tracking buffed, to bring them a little bit more in line with the differences between turreted and gimbaled weapons. So that's a nice, welcome change. I must say that I had noticed that with my Anaconda build, which I made recently in my Pimp My Ride Anaconda edition. So it is absolutely awesome. So that's quite nice. It's making turreted weapons a bit more useful again. Frontier have also added a ability to go and interrogate the materials from blueprints. So if you go and have a look over at your materials tab, you can have a look at the mechanical materials. It'll give you a brief description of what they are and where you are likely to find them. So you're basically going for a targeted search for them and not a wild goose chase, which you have been doing previously. So at least that's making it nicer to go, at least easier to go and find them. Not only that, apparently they are going to be changing the way materials kind of work, at least the ones for engineers. They are reducing the number of materials and basically consolidating down a few of them to make the blueprints a little bit easier to pull off. Yes, we are still going to be having to go and find the materials, and every time we test out, or at least try and have a blueprint built, it will still use up all the materials, but at least it's going to be easier to find, and they're not going to be using as many of them. So that is an upside. They also are going to be increasing the amount of materials we are going to be able to carry in our ships from 300 to 600. At least that's how it is currently in build 4 of the beta server, so that is awesome. So it's going to be making these blueprints easier to pull off. Frontier have also changed the way ice mining works by making it more profitable. Basically how they've done this is they've made finding rarer materials easier to do. So they basically increased the drop rate of rarer materials. So nom. They are also going to be working on changing the way the random number generating is going to be working for when you are having the effects of blueprints basically coming up. So they're going to make it easier for basically less amounts of variation, I suppose, to make it so that it's going to be more in line with what engineers should really be doing, and not this complete roulette and random dice throw that we've got at the moment, because it is just insane. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do this. I'm wondering whether this is going to be coming in build 5, build 6, I don't know, we'll see. But they are also going to be adding more ways of leveling up, so to speak, with the respective engineers, not just by having them craft things for you. I imagine this is something they were originally going to put in anyway, but it's just coming a little bit later into the build of the beta. So I'm curious to see what they are going to be. I'm not sure if they're in at the moment, because all of the changelogs for all of the different versions of beta have been so insanely long. So I've not really had a chance to go and read all the way through them whilst doing everything else I've been doing, trying to push out 2 videos a day. Although recently I've kind of got back on that, so less hair pulling. Yes. So Sandra goes on to say that none of these changes would have been able to be made or be possible without the help from you guys and us guys, the Elite Dangerous community. So he says a big thank you to everybody. So Sandro, you are awesome, and we love you for it. And if you guys weren't aware, there is a new event coming into the game very soon in the beta. It is called Rise to Power. It is where the first of the player factions is going to be getting the chance to become a power in the game, a power play power, an actual power play power. So this is amazing. There have already been 5 contestants qualified for this, and they are going to be competing against the wild card as well. Now the wild card is going to be voted for by you guys over on the community site. Link is going to be in the video description. And why am I pointing this out with such avid vigor? Because the Wolves of Jonai are in the running to become a wild card. So shameless self-promotion, I want you guys to vote for me. You should have already seen my video previously saying that we want you guys to vote for us. So if you haven't already, please do go and vote for us. We really want to have our chance to become a power. Speaking of this event, there is also going to be a Rise to Power live stream on Monday the 16th at 7 PM. It's going to be GMT time as per usual. And what that's going to be happening is it's pretty much Frontier, Ed, Frontier, all these guys talking to the heads of the different player factions and all the wild cards. So yours truly will hopefully be there if I manage to get all my lines right before we go. So I need to get practicing on the double. So we're going to have about 5 minutes each to talk about our factions and why you should vote for us and so on and so forth. So go and check it out. I will hopefully be there. But that's pretty much everything I'm going to go and talk about these 2 newsletters. This video's gone on long enough as it is, and I need to get back to the beta server making more videos for you guys. So, like I said, go and check out the live stream. Please vote for the Wolves of Jonai. We would really appreciate it. But anyway, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, please do hit those like and subscribe buttons. Here we go, that lovely, sexy subscribe button. Give it a stroke. It'll really appreciate it, as will I. But anyway, guys, I have been Commander Chaos Wolf. You guys have been epic. I will see you soon. And until next time, Commanders, keep flying and stay shiny.